the Puerto Rico Day Parade.
It's actually funny, Alex, because it's like I am National Guard. I'm actually questioning right now the commanders who authorized that under Governor Malloy. I'm actually completely against that, and I want to know what's going on. But one of the touch-up points I wanted to share with you, I know I've heard recently in your phone calls, like regarding NBC equipment being destroyed at most of the armories. What I wish you would do an article on is a section of NDAA, which was including what they call BRAC. We found out here in Connecticut with the sub-base and all this other stuff, BRAC is authorizing armories to be shut down and be turned into reserve centers because it's federally funded. It allows the states that are not opposing NDAA, it's allowing them to basically be able to federalize and run these drills in the states that are
and then they put, most of the new threat fusion centers, the federalization, CIA, you name it, moving in are at the old bases. And they're turning them into the new emergency centers. That's in the Emergency Centers Establishment Act. So, yes, this is how it's happening.
I mean, personally, to be honest with you, I know Hartford or Connecticut in general, New Jersey, Massachusetts, they're political states, and it's being harder and harder to get this information out. But, I mean, I had a congressman come up to my door the other day who was trying to run, and he's shooting the spiel and all this other stuff. And I'm like, do you have any ties to Malloy? I understand you're Democratic, but, you know, I'm not for that. And people here in my command in my state, they know who I am. They know what I'm trying to do. I've had a few people say, get out and go run to be a congressman here. But it's getting increasing with Lieberman pretty much just sitting on the side here, being quiet, but yet you're starting to see all the cameras go up at all the stoplights here in Hartford. And we're really, really starting to notice, and people are really starting to pick up on what I've been talking about for the past 2 or 3 years. It's like, you got to pay attention to the legislation. We need help.
Yeah, what's happening is giant portions of the defense spending are being used to arm and surveil every facet. There's a huge arms buildup, and the Pentagon admits they're going to pull triggers on citizens. We've confirmed for over 20 years in very small beta groups, but now it's going system-wide. They have military, normally special forces types, Army, Marines, Navy, you name it, dressed up as local police, but just in generic police jackets, killing citizens. What they're saying is, and in fact, we've gotten these secret documents years ago, now it's public. They say, oh, the Army or the Marines are ready to aid you in warrant service, in bomb disposal. And so in a town says, well, we don't have a big enough SWAT team. This guy's a veteran. This guy, won't turn over his property. And they send the Army in, and they just go kill him. They send Iraq vets in. They kick the door down, shoot the vet, kill him. And so I'm here to tell you, the Army and Marines are killing citizens all over the country right now. Just killing them with the police. And every time I mention this, cops call in and go, yeah, no, we have military working with us. Yes, that's true. It's illegal, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know you're in the Guards. It's special forces that are special forces trained are generally assigned to the kill units. They call them, the high threat level warrant service. Do you have any comments on that?
The only thing I could say here is like between like the units that they're putting here in the state and the locations that they're doing. It's like I can almost attest to the same guys in Missouri how they're localizing the richer sections, especially like here in Fairfield County. These guys are the ones that are running the stock markets here at the NYSC. It's like I am starting to realize now, looking at the maps of where they're putting up the RTIs and reserve centers, it is amazingly strategic how they're doing it, and the way that they're getting away with it in this state, it's appalling me.
But just to be clear, it was all, people are going to say, well, we have to have this because America collapsed. We're on record, and others are on record. This was all engineered from the beginning to the end. God bless you. Good to hear from you. Keep up the good work there in your area of Connecticut. Okay, let's go to John in Alaska, a police officer listening on 1150 a.m. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. Give us your take on this.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, we've had extensive talks and conversations even at work about, what's going to happen when they say take the guns. And I'm going to say probably 90% of the people I work with are saying absolutely not. I think there's a few that would go along because they're the narcissistic ladder climbers, and they would do anything what they were told. So I think, at least up in Alaska here, I don't think it's going to be an issue with local police officers. crap. I just lose you.
No, you're there, sir. But, I mean, even if somebody is a ladder climber, they're not stupid. I mean, do they think going out and confiscating guns is going to be easy thing to do?
Not here in Alaska. We're a gun state. This is a huge gun state. But I'll tell you a story here, a real quick story. Our local mayor, who's one of us on board with all this, was down at a meeting. A couple of ATF agents were at the meeting that he recognized, and they wanted to meet the mayor. And so his wife started kind of giving these guys a hard time, saying, hey, what's going to happen when you're told to collect guns? She couldn't get an answer out of them. They finally said, well, we got to feed our family. That was their answer. That scared me to think that some federal guys would say something like that.
Well, here's the deal. Well, you know what? I'm not going to ask the questions. Any other points you'd like to add about this? What do you think about this cordoning and lockdown of city drills that are happening everywhere?
Well, let me pass something on to you about that is really big happening here in Alaska. Nobody seemed to have heard of this. It's called JPARC, J-P-A-R-C. And I'm not sure if you or your staff have heard of this, but it's worth looking into. It's JPARC Alaska. Any Google will get to you. The military is planning on taking over a 200-mile by 200-mile area north of Anchorage, almost all the way to Fairbanks, as their new training facility. Well, there's nothing up there, but you start reading the information, and it's pretty scary that the military wants to take this area over, and it's going to get to the point where it's a...
No, sir, I have seen JPARC, and I want you to elaborate. That's what the last National Guard officer was saying. Everywhere... That's the Emergency Centers Establishment Act that was a cornucopia of data because everything in the legislation had already been built. It was just calling for official recognition in law. Everything reverse engineers it. They take land, state parks, whatever the case is, turn them into new reservations or take old military bases and turn them into a new training command center, invite the police in, and they're all right up against major population areas. So they are they're quartering troops right next to all the cities, and that's their new military police substation to go out and learn the local environs, condition the public, acclimate everybody for the Civil War, and sending the Army in to arrest people. So we're just going into the... And by the way, that's not my opinion. The Army admits they're preparing for war with the American people. Totally illegal, totally diabolical, and we need to have an open discussion about it. Go ahead. I mean, was that your concern, reverse engineering it? They've got all this other training area, all these bases, but now they want this big area right up against Anchorage?
Yeah, the scary thing is it's right next to the HARP facility. We got the oil pipeline, a dam that was shelved 20 years ago, all of a sudden has gotten pushed through. New railroads are getting built. There's two theories we have on this. The one theory is that when all goes to hell in a handbasket in the lower 48, this is a place the government can pull back to because nobody can get to it. There's one road in, one road out. The other thing we're kind of getting an inkling of lately is this is going to be the staging area for the NATO coming over the poles to the lower 48. They have to go somewhere, and they could sneak right over the poles. It's a 5-hour flight from this down to the lower 48.
Sure.
You know, so this is a scary thing that we're seeing.
Sure. That's where the nukes, by the way, people always think they're going to shoot nukes the long way over. They're not going to shoot along the axis. They're going to shoot right over the pole. It's only 5,000 miles from China, even shorter from Russia, right into Chicago, right into New York, right into Seattle.
Got a missile defense system up here they spent billions on to protect us from who? We think it's to protect their own facility. That just JPARC thing is a scary thing when people start really looking at what's going on and what we think the ultimate plan for this is this isn't to train. You know, they're talking about training troops from all over the world and private organizations like the Blackwater folks. I mean, this is going to be a whole training facility.
Who they admit they want to use against us. It's now official. They're saying they'll use NATO troops against U.S. insurrection. Again, more high treason. Did you hear the clip from CNBC? And there's now literally hundreds of articles announcing world government's good, it's run by banks, it's authoritarian, they know best. What do you make of CNBC with the quote, "We are absolutely slaves to central banks"?
Hiding in plain sight. You know, let's bring it out here. That's the only thing I can think of. You know, I think, you know, it's kind of back to the gun thing. Up here in Alaska, I'm thinking they're not worried about all of us having guns because there hasn't been any clampdown on this. I think they're thinking we're just shut down you folks at the end of the supply chain let you kill each other off, and then we're going to come in and clean the mess up.
No. That is the plan. Shut off the economy slowly, let things unravel, have us beg for the military to come in to restore order when the local cities almost all go bankrupt, and then start the drones, then start the arrest, and again, stage false flags against the police and military to get you guys all riled up to have a civil war with the American people.
Absolutely. You know, and Homeland Security started poking around here like 3-4 years ago, trying to get the city council to write martial law into the city code so the mayor could declare martial law. You know, I had a buddy that stopped a bigwig from Homeland Security. Was like, what the heck is that guy doing in Alaska? He pulled him over on a traffic stop, and the guy started quoting the Bill of Rights, saying, "Don't worry, buddy, we're with you." It was a total trying to infiltrate the local police department. We're just a little poding police department. So if they're trying to do that up here, I can imagine what's going down in the lower 48s.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, this whole process is scaring me, and I worry about you and your health down there being the spokesman and the mouthpiece for all of us that are paying attention. You know, a lot of cops I don't think will get on the bandwagon. I think they recognize what the Constitution is about and what our role is as citizens in this community. But this is big. This is huge.
Listen, don't worry about me. Seriously, folks, I've already gotten the message out. If they were going to strike me down, they probably would have already done it. I mean, they could set me up or something. They don't want to kill me because that would make me a martyr. It's more likely they'd plant something on me, pull me over, have the feds put drugs on me or something, but nobody's going to buy that. Everybody knows I don't use drugs other than occasional alcohol, nicotine, and caffeine. I don't even really do that anymore. So, I mean, there's really nothing there. So if something does happen, it's made up, except for speeding, and I'm not doing that anymore. I appreciate you joining us. Now that I've been doing a little bit of, I can't help it. Let's go ahead and talk to David in Washington, police officer. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, we have been having training for about 90 days on new special hazard waste disposal. We're all being implemented with equipment, with Kevlar to go over our hazard suits. We have to be certified by the end of the year of having all of our hazard suits in our vehicles. We also have mobile vehicles that are disposed of hazardous waste, including casualties. And if we're even discussing this with our family members, we're threatened with our jobs and prosecution.
Prosecution for talking about Homeland Security funding with hazmat gear that's public. Amazing.
We're even being threatened if we don't package the equipment properly in our vehicles and it's seen. The helmets that they're giving us are pretty large. They're trying to figure out possibly new vehicles, just put the helmets in because the helmets are very large.
Oh, so they're telling you, they're saying don't let the public see your hazmat gear or riot equipment?
It's hazmat gear.
Man, I tell you, well, again, they're trying to intimidate you. You've got a right to, I mean, you're not a secret police. You're not, I mean, you're allowed to talk about hazmat gear. Man, I tell you, I'm so sick of compartmentalization. I'm sorry. Go ahead and make your other points.
Well, the other thing that they're most concerned about is the mobile vehicles and containers that are pretty state-of-the-art. They won't even allow certain ranks to even see them. It's actually very new equipment that's mobile, and they.
Oh, yeah, those are the big, giant Snoop trucks. And the reason you're not